Hey, how's it going, everyone? My name is Amos, and welcome back to the Dividend Compounder Show. So I just got back from the gym, and my nipples are absolutely exhausted, but I had to make this video because this upcoming week of February the 3rd, very exciting. There's a lot of big companies that are reporting their earnings, and you can think of earnings as a status update or progress on how the company is doing for the past 3 months. And as investors, we can assess whether or not we like the company or we just want to stay away based on what we hear or what they post. And for me, when I think about earnings, it's an opportunity to buy based on market overreactions. Sometimes they're like, hey, we missed by 1% on the revenue or on the EPS, and the market will just sell off like 15%. For me, that's when I like to go in and start bargain hunting, especially if it's a company that has been sitting on my watch list for a really long time. Great opportunity to pick up shares because what usually happens, not always, but usually the following day or the next week, it usually rebounds. And then you're up automatically like 10 or 15%, very low effort. And it's a way where you can monitor if the investment thesis still holds true. Such as, is their sector still okay? Is the mission still consistent? Is their priorities still in order? And so if it's a company that you are invested into, you should at least tune into their quarterly earnings report. But anyways, when we kick things off on Monday, by the time you watch this video, it should be uploaded on Monday. We have a handful of companies, and I'm going to be mentioning companies that are also not listed here visually because this graphic only lists the most popular by market cap, but I think it's lacking about 20 or 25 companies. So you got to pay attention, okay? On Monday, we're kicking things off before the bell with Tyson. This is a company where 2 or 3 years ago, they went on a massive sell-off because they were running into operational issues. And if you don't know Tyson, they're basically one of the biggest producers of chicken and poultry, just meat. Think of them as a protein business. This is a company that I have no interest in, but it's going to be a good way to indicate how people are doing in terms of inflation and buying chicken. Because when it comes to the protein sphere, I think chicken is the cheapest pound for pound. So there's Tyson, not very exciting. And then when the markets close, I think this one, a lot of people are going to be very excited or nervous about because Palantir is one of those data analytics companies that partners with government agencies, especially like the military and intelligence sectors. And if you know anything about the current presidential administration, they're basically saying, hey, we're going to cut costs where we need to cut costs. And it has everyone on Wall Street and their buttholes puckered up because they're scared. Anybody who does their main business with the government, it's going to be impacted, right, at the end of the day. So Palantir, I'm not going to lie to you, I used to be invested into them, and I sold out of it once I had a pretty nice profit, and I'm no longer invested into it, but it will be exciting to see how things pan out for them, because for the past 3 months, they were still a part of the Biden administration, so I don't think there's going to be any implications or setbacks, but the key thing to tune into is what will they say about the next 3 months or the guidance for the next 12 months, the next fiscal year. So it's either going to skyrocket or crash really hard. No in between. And then, of course, there's the Clorox company. This is a very high-quality dividend compounder with cheese. And I say that because if we pull it up right here, yeah, let's see, Clorox. This is a company that has been on my watch list for closer to 6 or 7 years now, and I've never been able to buy in because it's always overpriced. And when it did go on a sell-off, I didn't buy into it because there were other companies that I prioritized. But anyways, this company right now, for the past 5 years, it's only up by 1.8%. Pretty atrocious, right? However, if you zoom out and you look at their max, they've been publicly traded since 1983. Their total return just for the stock price, not taking into consideration stock buybacks or the dividend yield, was 4,296%. So that's what I mean by a dividend compounder with cheese. Their dividend profile, not the greatest, but it's decent, right? A 3% dividend yield. That's my minimum standard for a company to be qualified as a good dividend paying company. Of course, when we talk about things like Microsoft or Google or even Meta, yeah, their dividend yield is low, but they compound through their stock price appreciation. Anyways, also on Monday, that's not visually depicted here, we have Tempest AI, which, to be truthful with you, is a company that I've never heard of before until about 3 weeks ago when it was publicly disclosed that Nancy Pelosi went balls deep into Tempest AI. And it's essentially an AI analytics company that helps in the medical field for diagnostics. So when you talk about radiology, cardiology, oncology, it helps making better and accurate assessments of what you're looking at. So this is a company where after people found out that Nancy Pelosi went into, it just started blowing up. Case in point, let me show you. Their ticker symbol is TEM. And let's see. Past 1 year, they were pretty much flat. And this bump right here is when people found out that Nancy Pelosi jumped in. So the secret is out. It's no longer an undervalued bet. Now you're just joining the hype train at this point. But Tempest AI is one of the companies. And then we also have New Market, which most people have never heard of, but it's a company, a huge conglomerate that a lot of my colleagues that I went to the military school for my undergrad, they work for. New Market is one of the biggest companies in the world that does business with petroleum and oil. So it's very similar to Occidental Petroleum, the company that Warren Buffett really likes. And it's a parent company of a whole host of different oil companies. The most popular one is Afton Chemicals. And when you think about petroleum oil, you might be like, okay, that's really boring. But they make those oil products for the finished item. So like the stuff that you add to your diesel engine, the stuff that you use to lubricate, hydraulics. It's really boring, but it's a business that sells itself. Check this out. You might be like, what? This is not important, but check it out. New Market Corporation currently trades for about $500 a share. If I zoom out, take a look at this. This is an insane company that no one has ever heard about, and I just want to put you on because this is a high quality company that no matter how you feel about oil and petroleum, it's not going to go away anytime soon. Because believe it or not, even pavement requires oil. So just one of those things to throw out. And then also another company that I'm really looking forward to is Capital Southwest, which is a BDC. And it's a company that I just covered in my BDC ranking video. And okay, spoiler alert, it's a company that I really want to buy into. So depending on how things unfold for them, I might be buying into this company. And if I can, I will be so stoked. Yeah, for the past 1 year, they're down by negative 12%, and that's because of the high interest rate environment. I'm not fazed by it. For me, if they dip back down to this $20 price area, I might be buying. I might be dollar cost averaging. Yes. Moving on to the next day, Tuesday, my goodness gracious, so many heavy hitters. I know on your screen, I only highlighted a few of them, but I'm telling you, off the camera, there's a whole bunch that we need to get into. The first one that I'm kind of interested in is PayPal, because this is an underdog company that a lot of people just keep dismissing, saying, oh, they're a has-been. Oh, Apple, Visa, MasterCard is so much more superior. But they're low-key making a comeback, and they're doing all of the right things, and they're executing, and their margins and their financials and fundamentals, everything is improving about this company to the point where if they paid a dividend, I would have probably be ready to buy in depending on how things unfold on Tuesday. But since they don't pay a dividend, I'm kind of not interested. Case in point, take a look at their top line. The reason why I'm emphasizing PayPal is because this weekend I watched the video from one of the most popular stock market YouTubers, and he was just trashing on PayPal nonstop. But I don't see eye to eye with him because when I look at their fundamentals, look at their revenue. This is what investors refer to as the top line. Look at the growth of it. 2019, it was $17 billion. trailing 12 months, now we're talking about $31 billion. They essentially doubled their revenue in a handful of years. Not only that, if we scroll down and look at their cash flow statement, their free cash flow, take a look at this. Their free cash flow essentially went from $3.3 billion in 2019 to now $7 billion. This is a company that has their finances and everything in order now. See, what is holding this company back is during the pandemic, they were just way too inflated. So if I zoom out and show you what I'm talking about, for the most part, they usually traded for like $75, $80 a share. And then when the pandemic happened, every fintech company just blew up and went to the moon, right? At one point, PayPal was $308 a share. Since then, they went on this massive sell-off, which I understand, it makes sense. But at this point, for a fintech company that allows you to have a digital bank around the world to be trading at a multiple of 18, I disagree with all the popular YouTubers out there. I think PayPal is a hidden gem, and if you're invested into this, I don't blame you. I think it's a pretty shiny gem. I think it's a really solid company. And then, of course, there's other heavy hitters like Spotify, not interested in. I just feel like their business model is too singular. Right? It can be disrupted by Apple Music, by Samsung Music, by all the various different platforms that also offer podcasts and music streaming. I get it. Their margins are growing, their subscriber count is growing, but I just feel like they don't have an economic moat. It's just the way that I feel. And then right below them is Pfizer. If you know anything about me, I used to be a middle-level manager at a huge pharmaceutical company, and I made a video detailing why I don't touch any pharmaceutical companies. As of right now, one might argue that they're undervalued, but for me, not going anywhere near this company. And then this one, I circle. Well, before I talk about Pepsi, Merck, another pharmaceutical company that one could argue is also, undervalued at this current moment. And then there's Estee Lauder, which premium skincare and makeup, not really interested in. Fun fact, I used to be a skincare model, and I know a lot about this industry, and Estee Lauder is just not it. But anyways, let's talk about PepsiCo. PepsiCo is a company where I have been going really heavy into because I just feel like this is one of those high quality companies where the opportunity to buy them at a discount doesn't not come often, okay? And for the past year or so, they have been struggling, right? Operations, inflations, hitting their margins, consumers being a little more wary with how they spend their money on snacks and junk food. And then after that, they had the Ozempic crisis. People on Wall Street were like, dude, nobody is ever going to touch Pepsi products ever again because of this weight loss drug that curbs the appetite. And then after that, we had the JFK scare where it's like, we're coming after your food. We're coming after the ingredients. And so there's a lot of negative sentiment surrounding this company. And hearing that, I was just like, dude, I'm going in. And so believe it or not, I went really deep into this company when they went on the sell-off at the end of December and early January. So I'm really heavy into this company. And as of right now, I think I'm like -2%, maybe -3% in the red. But I think this is a company where people do not understand how high quality it is, where right now they're going through a temporary setback. This is a company that has such a long, let me just zoom in and tell you what I'm talking about. Such a long history of overcoming obstacles and having a proven track record of rebounding and hitting a new high again and again in a handful of months or a year or two. Right now, if you zoom out, you can see there's highs and lows, right? Every single time they hit a low, I'm sure there was the same sentiment surrounding this company, like, oh, there has been, they're done. Coca-Cola is going to kick their booty hole, or Keurig Dr. Pepper is the new thing. PepsiCo is old news. But look what happens every single time. They make a rebound. Reason being is that when there's a high quality company and they have it in their DNA to succeed, they're gonna find out a way to succeed. And I'm not saying that past performance is indicative of future gains, but I am so confident in PepsiCo. It's not like we're talking about a very speculative company with trash fundamentals and finances, right? We're talking about PepsiCo. Case in point, just look at the growth of their top line. From 2019 to present tense to trailing 12 months. This is a phenomenal picture. A company that sells chips and soda, which is just carbonated sugar water, to generate $91 billion? Absolutely a scandal to be on this big of a sell-off. If we look at their cash flow, look at this. Free cash flow, $5.4 billion, fiscal year 2019. Now we're talking about $6.2 billion. Yes, it drops by negative 10%, and that's because they're going through this very high, inflationary environment that's just killing their margins. But do I think it's going to be high margins forever? Do I think the Ozempic and the JFK scare is going to be here forever? Absolutely not. The thing is, 10 years from now, I am telling you, I'm going to be so happy with myself that I was able to buy into Pepsi when they were trading for $150 or $145 a share. Because when they bounce back and reach a new high of like $210, $220, $230 a share in 2 to 4 years, dude, I'm going to be smiling. I could be absolutely wrong because I'm an idiot, but I am confident that should happen. Their dividend profile, a 3.6 dividend yield while you wait for their rebound in the stock price, dude, sign me up. Love it. And when we take a look at their past earnings, it's not like it's an ugly picture, right? Their past, the Q3, they posted $2.31. The analyst expectations was $2.29. They crushed, right? They beat. And then if you look at their revenues, I think they missed. But it's not like they missed by a huge margin, right? They expected $23.86 billion. They posted $23.32 billion. It's not like they missed by $5 billion or $4 billion. They literally missed by like 1%. However, check this out. Their Q4 historically is their best money generating quarter past 3 months. Back in Q4 of 2022, they posted, 28 billion. Q4 of 2023, they posted 27.8 billion, and the expectation right now is 27.9 billion, which should be relatively flat year over year. I guess a slight growth. Do I think Pepsi is gonna hit or miss? It doesn't really matter because I'm saying this right now. Even if Pepsi posts like 28 billion or they post 27.8 billion, that small miss for me is not a catastrophic event. It's not like, oh, the entire investing thesis for this company falls apart. Because for me, I think about the high quality portfolio that they have, their economic moat, their financials, their fundamentals, everything is so good. If they miss and the market overreacts, I'm going balls deep into PepsiCo. I'm not telling you to follow me, but I'm just saying that's what I'm going to do. As a matter of fact, I'm going to encourage you, do not copy me, okay? Because I'm an idiot. I'm absolutely an idiot, and PepsiCo could go on a further dip. So do not copy me. If you like Pepsi, do your own homework. That's just how I feel about the company. And then when the markets close, I have these two circled right here because very important. Google, obviously, they were the most undervalued of the Mag 7 in 2024. And then once people found out that they were making their own like quantum computing chip or whatever, they skyrocketed again, right? But what's holding them back right now is the litigation and the monopoly breakup risks that surround this company. I think Google is high quality. This is a really good company. But the one that I really want to talk about is AMD. AMD is one of those AI chip companies where the market hyped up way too much in 2023. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Because the hype was so high with this company that when they weren't able to exceed and smash those expectations, the market sold out of this company like it was their job. Like, we have to sell out of AMD on Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday. That's what we need to do. So as a result, if you look at it, sorry, I said 2023, but I meant 2024, they just went on this crazy sell-off. If you look at it in the past 1 year, they're down by negative 32%. Their forward trading multiple for this next fiscal year is a 26. A company that is at the tip of the spear alongside with NVIDIA and Broadcom and the AI chips moving is a 26. That is absolutely a scandal and a tragedy. What I want to show you is this. Let's take a look at their past earnings and why I'm telling you this one is going to be so freaking important. Because here's the highlights from their last earnings report. It was magnificent. Check this out. Their AI chips for the data center segment, it grew by 122% year over year, right? And they ate up Intel's PC CPU market share. I would not be surprised if AMD is now going to be the new market leader in terms of the PC CPU space. But the market doesn't care. The market only cares about the AI space. And what's happening with this company is the market is speculating that it's all over for AMD. It's just the show is all about Broadcom's customizable chips or NVIDIA's CUDA frame chips. AMD, nothing left for this company. It's a has-been. The expectations are now so low, which is a contradiction to what it was in 2024. Because let me show you. So in 2024, let's see what happened, right? So in Q1, the expectation for the EPS, 62 cents. Oh, they met it, but they didn't smash. Sell-off started happening because look at this. Expectation was 68 cents. EPS, 69 cents they reported. Not good enough. So for the market to value you like NVIDIA or Broadcom, you need to smash it through the water, right? And that's why for Tuesday, I'm actually really nervous because I'm thousands of dollars invested into AMD. As a matter of fact, I sold so many of the winners in my portfolio in order to buy into this company in the past 3 to 4 weeks because I truly believe that it's undervalued. When we look at their revenue picture, they have not missed ever, right? Actually, I could be wrong. They missed right there. Q1 of 2024, which started off their sell-off. But if you look at their revenue picture, this is a phenomenal. Here's why I'm a little nervous, though. The expectation, they think that AMD should post $7.5 billion. Have they ever posted that much in 3 months? No, they have not. So the expectation is low surrounding this company, but their revenue forecast given by AMD's leadership set the bar high. If they don't meet this, friends and family, I'm calling it here. This company is going to go on a massive sell-off, and I'm going to be very upset. But I just feel like, I know, when you talk about feels, it's in that territory of, dude, you got to pump the brakes and drink some water, maybe rub your nipple, because whatever you're about to say next, if it's not grounded in facts. But anyways, when it comes to AMD, I just feel like it's one of those companies that under-promise and over-deliver, right? When we think about NVIDIA, Jensen, he is such a charismatic CEO that knows how to put on a show. He knows he's a really good salesman, right? When I think about Lisa Su, I think she's more of a working with the engineers type of leader rather than being flashy with their products. So what I'm saying is, I think the world is going to find out just how good AMD is this next earnings report. And their stock price is going to go through the roof, just like we saw happen to Broadcom, right? It went up by like, what, 15, 20% overnight? Because AMD has been getting crushed. Literally, someone wearing hooker heels and just stepping on their testicles, just crushing their balls. So the market is just waiting for any good news to either go up or for bad news and for the sell-off to go even further. Very nervous, but I'm also very excited because I just have this really good feeling like AMD is going to surprise the people in a good way. But we'll see what happens. And then, of course, there's Snapchat, which if you're over the age of 20 years old, why are you using Snapchat? Right? Sorry if I just offended you or made fun of you, but it's just the way that I feel. And then there's also Chipotle, which, believe it or not, it's a company that has been on my watch list for probably closer to like 6 years, but it's never gotten close to my acceptable buy price. However, it seems like all of the restaurant and food stocks for the past 2 to 3 months have been going on a sell-off. So Chipotle is getting near that territory where it's like, maybe I could finally buy in. But at the end of the day, it's not really prioritized because it is on my watch list, but there's literally like 20 other companies that I would rather buy before Chipotle. However, that narrative would change if Chipotle introduced a dividend, which I feel like this company, Chipotle, should be paying a dividend at this point, right? I don't know. But anyways, what's not included on your screen, so many more companies are posting on Tuesday. Number one is going to be Mondelez International, which is basically the an equivalent and peer to Hershey. They do candy, they do chocolate, and as a matter of fact, a couple of weeks ago, there was rumors talking about how Mondelez wanted to buy out Hershey, and Hershey said no. Funny. Not really interested in Mondelez. And then there's also Ball Corporation, and believe it or not, they used to be involved in the aerospace defense sector, but they sold that side of the business, and now they just focus on their primary business, which they label as the primary now, which is making mason jars and aluminum cans. Think of it as like the packaging industry. Am I interested in Ball Corporation? No. And then we also have Simon Property Group, which is one of the biggest mall REITs, for good reason. You should watch my REITs ranking video to figure out why I say for good reason. There's also FMC Corporation. This is a company that I am invested into. Let me just pull it up right here and show you what I'm talking about. FMC, if we zoom out 5 years, right? This is a company that historically usually trades at least for $100 a share, right? And at their highest during the pandemic, they jumped up to 138. However, for the past year and a half to, I guess, almost 2 years now, this company has been going on a massive sell-off because their industry, I should explain what they do. So FMC is involved in the chemical agricultural space. So things like insecticide, pesticide, the stuff that protects your crops. But what happened is a lot of their consumers and clients and farmers are destocking, which, by the way, I shouldn't go on a deep dive because I already made a video talking about what's happening with FMC and why I'm buying into it. But anyways, since their last earnings report, they're finally rebounding, and it seems like there's light at the end of the tunnel, meaning the torture and the punishment of what they're going through is finally coming to an end. So I'm really excited about this next earnings report, because if they can continue posting positive news, I think that's going to be really good for FMC. It's a company that I'm invested into. I do not recommend you follow me into it. Really risky. And then there's also Fair Isaac Corporation, also known as FICO, monopolistic economic moat, very good company, credit rating, not interested. I think it's really expensive. As a matter of fact, one of the bargains that you could have gotten a while ago, look at this, $1,873. Just way too much. I feel like out of the credit rating companies, I don't think any of them are on sale right now. A while ago, yeah, you could have got some as a bargain, but not right now. Not interested in Fair Isaac. And then, of course, there is also Western Union reporting on Tuesday, and I'm going to tell you right now, their business model has just been absolutely disrupted. Because I made a very thorough video talking about Western Union, and once I found out about their industry and their future, dude, this company, I don't know what they're going to have to do in order to survive, but let me just tell you this. Their business model thrives and revolves around providing a bank, I guess, quote unquote, bank to those that cannot have citizenship. So those that cannot get a bank account. So when I say that, I'm literally talking about illegal immigrants. If you know anything about what's going on in the US right now, there's deportations happening on the West Coast all the way over to the East Coast. So their clientele and their business is going to suffer beyond belief. That's what I'm saying. So when it comes to Western Union, if you're invested into this or if you're eyeballing it, dude, I don't know, man. Their future does not look good. Obviously, I could be wrong because I'm stupid. And I want to jump over and show you about their financials because it actually is not terrible. The thing about Western Union is their top line is shrinking, but they're doing that strategy just like SiriusXM, where if you know your revenue is not going to be growing anymore year over year, then you build a fortress balance sheet. You start taking care of your profitability, you start lowering your debt, you start making sure that you can survive any financial hardships by making sure that you have enough cash on hand. And that's what this company is focusing on right now. And I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, they've been doing share buybacks like it's their mission. And their dividend profile, believe it or not, a 9% dividend yield is actually healthy and sustainable. It's crazy. Their balance sheet is pretty spectacular. Besides the declining, balance sheet. Besides the declining revenue, it's pretty darn good. Would I ever want to invest into it? Probably not. And an example of a company that also has, a declining revenue, but their balance sheet is now improving in all different areas and metrics is Altria, the tobacco company, and they're thriving. They're growing in their stock price, even though their revenue might not be necessarily growing. Altria is another company that I am invested into. Pretty bullish on. I like that company. And I'm going to be honest with you, I hate what they do and hate their products, but sometimes you got to remove your feelings and emotions away from winning businesses. And then also on Tuesday, we have Cummins, which I know, hilarious name. I'll type it in right here if you're immature, Cummins. And they're in the business of doing diesel engines, and they're very correlated with the trucking industry. So if you're bullish on truckers and the future thereof, this is a company that you might want to look into. But what I can tell you is I think the trucking industry is seeing less and less shipments, especially in the last 3 months. You heard it here first, so I don't know. I'm not very bullish right now. As a matter of fact, it's getting kind of scary. And then there's Edwards Life Sciences, ticker symbol EU. Yeah, pretty funny. I know so much about this company because I actually made it to the final round when I almost joined their company as a part of their MBA LDP program. Why did I repeat the P? The LDP stands for program. But I almost joined the company, and so as a result, I had to, interview prep, network, and learn so much about their company and what they do. Edward Life Sciences, I can tell you, pretty solid company. They're in the medical devices space specifically for hearts and transplant arteries and valves and everything. But their economic moat is slowly going away because there's other people entering into their space, and apparently they're able to do it better. So their near-term future is looking kind of dark, not gonna lie. But in the past, they used to be a very sweet darling in the stock market, right? But ever since we found out that there's competitors entering into their highly economic mode space, now they're not so handsome and beautiful anymore. And then there's also Oak Tree Specialty Lending, which is a BDC. I talk more about them in my BDC ranking video if you want to learn more about it. And there's also Gartner, which is a consulting firm for IT. Very specific niche. This is also a company that I almost joined, but did not. There's Gartner. And then there's also Archers Daniels Midland. Ticker symbol ADM. This is a company that I have been eyeballing for a while, and then as of like 2 weeks ago, I deleted them. I'm no longer interested. But they're in the business of doing fructose corn syrup, vegetable oil, and raw food processing. And let me show you what's going on with ADM. ADM, if we zoom out 5 years, it's a company that usually, crushes, right? Because as Americans, we use so much high fructose corn syrup in all of our foods. We use so much vegetable oils and everything, but this is a company where they're going through a financial crisis. I think it's like an accounting probing. They're running into operational issues and obviously the JFK scare. That's going to fundamentally change their profitability and their demand, at least for the next 4 years. So once I started thinking about all of that, I was like, I don't know about this company. I deleted them, but they're also reporting. Anyways, that was a mouthful for Tuesday. I said there was going to be a lot, right? And none of those companies were included in the visuals here. And that's why it's not enough to just look at this visual and be like, oh, okay, I can just click out. No, there's so much more than meets the eye. Anyways, on Wednesday, before the bell opens, there's Uber. And I believe right now Uber is going through a sell-off because they're running into regulatory risks. And there's other companies that are entering into their space of autonomous vehicles, which means anybody can be an Uber driver. You don't need a physical person in there, and you can cut out that middleman, right? You could just rent out your own car to someone else and to have, to drive them, they can pay you. Anyways, they're running into a lot of competition all over the world, like Southeast Asia, Europe. Everyone else is popping up their own version of Uber. This is a company where I'm not particularly bullish on. Same with Lyft. If you are a freak and you're passionate about the rideshare industry, let me know. But from my understanding, I'm not feeling it. I don't know. Anyways, going back to that visual, and then there's also Walt Disney. This is a company that I'm pretty balls deep into. One of the first companies that I ever bought when I got into the stock market. And it went on a really high, impressive run up when they announced that they're going to be jumping into the streaming space. And then ever since then, the pandemic hit and they've just been on a sell-off, right? When their parks had to close. And then there's also a lot of people who hate Walt Disney because I think they're one of the few, and I say few because I think a lot of companies have reversed, they put their car in reverse and went the other way with their whole woke agenda. But when it comes to Walt Disney, they're going full throttle. They're changing what it means to be, I guess, DEI, especially in 2025. So I feel like they have a passionate fan base that loves them for that, but they're alienating and basically saying, don't support us to the other 50% of the people. So I just wish Walt Disney could just jump off that woke agenda and just start producing original stuff that's game-changing again. And yeah, but anyways, all that to say, I haven't sold out of them. Even when I was deep in the red, I'm not going to lie to you, it felt terrible. But just like my investing thesis with Pepsi, Walt Disney has a long history, awesome fundamentals, huge economic moat, financials look good, and for them, their temporary setback, I guess number one was when everyone started pivoting from cable network Disney to the streaming Disney. We realized, dude, the money is just transferring from cable to streaming. You're not really gaining anything. So once that rug was pulled from under their feet, that wasn't really good for them. And then number two, I guess the woke agenda initiatives, not good. But I feel like both of those categories should be temporary. I feel like eventually Walt Disney is going to wake up and then stop trying to play the DEI game. But what else do we have on Tuesday? We have Stanley Black & Decker, pretty good tools. And then there's Qualcomm and ARM, which I don't know about you. I think the market is going to be paying close attention to because these are two semiconductor chip companies. And depending on their demand and their progress report, it's either going to help the rest of the semiconductor chips or it's going to help the rest of them go on a sell-off. It's just the way that it works, guilty by association. And then there's also Ford, which I know for a lot of people when they're new to the stock market and especially dividend investing, they fall for it. They're like, dude, this company seems amazing. It's so cheap, high dividend yield. But my friend, I don't even know you and I'm trying to look out for you. Ford is literally, and alongside with all the other car companies except Tesla, is the definition of a value trap. Because you buy into it, let me show you this. Their max history, right? 1972? Your money would have grown by 69% in that entire time frame. That is literally the definition of a value trap. Your money is not growing. And Ford is guilty as a dividend cutter. They cut their dividend very periodically, but consistently. They always cut it. They go on these streaks where they pay it on time and they grow and then they end up cutting it. So Ford, that's why I have no arrow pointing at it. Not interested. I highly recommend that you do not invest into them. I know that sounds really mean, but not a good company. And now, the companies that are not on the visuals, well, I guess this one is right here, is going to be Old Dominion Freight Line, ticker symbol ODFL. This is a company that is in the trucking and shipping space. So when you think about the truck, the 18-wheel trucks driving all of our packages and all the crates of stuff, from my understanding of the logistics and supply chain space right now, the trucking demand is slowly on a decline. So I guess we'll find out on Wednesday whether or not that's still true and they're reversing direction or if they're further going into the red. So there's ODFL. And then we also have Pfizer, which is a fintech company I'm not particularly interested in. We have McKesson. They make medical supplies, such as syringes, latex gloves, needles, and pharma drugs. Not interested in them. We also have Crown Castle. Now, this is a company that I am invested into, and I'm not going to lie to you, things are not looking good for them. Alongside with all the other REITs, they're struggling right now. And I guess I get to find out on Wednesday, am I going to be more in pain or if I'm going to be happy and they go on a rebound. But to be honest with you, when it comes to Crown Castle, my expectations non-existent. I don't even care at this point. I just hold on to them because I know they're going to be fine in the long run. But in this high interest rate environment, it is crushing REITs. So one might say that it's a really good opportunity to buy into them because historically the REITs do outperform the S&P 500 in the long run. But in the short term, it sucks to see that, right? Past 5 years, negative 40%. But obviously when you zoom out for a sanity check, it helps, right? It's up by 593% when you look at their entire history. So it's a solid company just going through a sell-off because they're going through margin issues with the inflationary environment. And then we also have a BDC that is reporting known as ARK, Ares Capital. This is a company that I talked about in my BDC ranking video. I'm trying to buy into it, okay? I'm trying to buy. If it reaches about $21, maybe $20 a share, you can count me in. I'm not invested into any BDCs yet, but ARK is one of those that I want to be invested into. I think very highly of them. And then we also have Skyworks Solutions. They're in the business of RF chips, for 5G and the upcoming 6G. And then we have Rexford Industrial. This is another REIT that I talk about in my REIT ranking video. Very specialized in one category: industrial warehouses and factories in Southern California. Just by hearing that, you might be like, what? I'm passing up on them. But believe it or not, Rexford is a killer in the stock market. My price target for them is $38 to $39. If for whatever reason they want to sell off because of their earnings report on Wednesday, that's another company that I'm thinking about buying in. Let's move along to Thursday. On Thursday, break my heart. There's Eli Lilly, which is a pharmaceutical company, not interested in, but breaking my heart. And there's also Bristol Myers Squibb, another pharmaceutical company, not interested in. But what is breaking my heart is going to be Hershey. This is a company where I knew full well, like it's high quality, really good economic moat, just like PepsiCo, but I knew that they were suffering from coca prices being the highest that it's ever been, historic highs, which means their margins are being crushed. And I was just like, you know what? That might be a good opportunity to buy into them. And buy I did. However, it doesn't seem like things are looking too good for this company because, their financials, they're fine. They're on a slow decline from year over year by negative, 1.6% for their top line. And their cash flow is still pretty excellent, 1.4 billion to now 1.6 billion. Their financials and fundamentals still look fine, but the market is very bearish towards Hershey right now because of the coca prices. This is usually a company that you can count on to consistently go up and up and up, except when there's periods of I guess like the Great Recession or even the pandemic sell-off. Okay, they go on a dip. However, because of the inflationary environment and the price of their raw material that they need the most, which is coca, being at historic highs, it's crushing Hershey right now. And am I selling out of them? No, because you can call me an idiot, but a company that is so high quality like Hershey, I just feel as if in 2 to 3 years, I'm basing it based off of their financials and fundamentals. I know they're going to rebound. It's just in the short term, it just hurts to see this, right? It hurts. But depending on what happens on, on Thursday, I'll either smile or I'll just be even more sad because I'm going to continue to hold on to them. Because why would I sell out of them at a loss? Why would I do that? Because in the meantime, while I wait for them to recover, they pay a 3.6% dividend yield. And that's why I always talk about dividends being superior. Because while they're in your portfolio, they'll pay rent to you if they are a high quality company. Because I was thinking right there, I'm like, well, that's not always the case. Because if you invest into a speculative dividend company, they might cut it, right? But Hershey, a 63% payout ratio, that is growing almost every single year. At least, look at this picture right here. Beautiful. At least I can count on the dividends while I wait for their recovery and rebound. So we got Hershey. This one I'm going to be listening to their entire earnings call to see what's going on because I would need some good news, like please. And then before the market opens also, there's Philip Morris, which is, they used to be a part of Altria, another really good tobacco company I'm not invested into. And then when the markets close, we have Amazon. This is a company that I personally don't like, but I wouldn't mind investing into them. Am I invested into them? I'm not. But we have Amazon, which usually gives us a pulse check on the spending habits of Americans. And it tells us, I guess it's kind of like an indicator of how the economy is doing. I know, Amazon, that's how relevant they are, just like Walmart. So many people use Amazon and Walmart that we can get a good feel for how people are doing right now. How much are they spending? And then there's also Cloudflare, which is like a web hosting cybersecurity company. And then there's Pinterest, which I feel like who the hell uses Pinterest? I feel like the only people who use it are stay-at-home moms with like 4 kids or women that are about to get married because they start looking at like wedding ideas. So to be honest with you, the only 2 that I'm interested in on Thursday, Hershey, to get a status update of like, am I going to be in more pain or is there finally going to be some good news? And then Amazon. Not because I want to buy into Amazon, but I just want to know how are we doing as people right now? Because the rhetoric is that the inflationary environment is killing us, but the economy seems to be doing well, which is why Jerome Powell and the Fed decided not to cut the interest rate at their last meeting, their very recent meeting that just happened. So I guess Amazon can either insinuate that that is the case, or they can show us something else like, dude, our Black Friday and Cyber Monday did not go as planned. But I can tell you, e-commerce, when it comes to, I guess, October, November, December, and January, they call it peak. That's when consumers spend the most money pound for pound. I can say that because I was a part of the e-commerce and supply chain space in the past. And so this quarter should be their most profitable one. Also reporting on Thursday, we have Honeywell, which is in the industrial space. They do a little bit of everything. Think of them as like a 3M. Okay, Honeywell is very high quality. It's a company that I would love to own, but I'm already invested into 3M, which I'm going to make a video about 3M, which is why I talk about the Hershey rebound and the Pepsi rebound. 3M, such a high quality company. And believe it or not, I went balls deep into them right here during these the dips right here. And I'm almost up by 100%. And that's what I'm saying. When it comes to a high quality company, it's not always the case, but if their financials and their fundamentals and their economic moats look pretty good, then it's almost a guarantee that they're going to be okay in the end. The drop off in the revenue is because they had a divestiture of Solve. I always forget how to pronounce this company, Solvatone. Because of that, like that revenue is now a part of this company. But I don't know, is that the case? Or is their revenue adjusted to be just reflective of 3M? Anyways, we also have Kenvue, which is the spin-off CPG consumer health company from J&J. Not interested in them. There's Kellanova, which used to be a part of Kellogg's cereal portfolio. They have snacks like Cheez-Its, Pop-Tarts, Pringles, Nutri-Grain bars. Pretty solid company. I would be interested in buying into them, but I'm already a shareholder of General Mills, and I just feel like General Mills is a little bit better than Kellanova. And then the company that I'm most excited about on Thursday, because I'm not excited about this or this, right? This one I'm nervous about. But excitement-wise, is going to be Huntington Ingalls. This is a defense contracting company that specifically makes vessels for the United States Navy and Coast Guard, meaning they have an economic moat beyond belief. No one else is just going to come and build a submarine overnight. No one else is going to come and build a destroyer or a cruiser. Anyways, Huntington Ingalls suffered from labor and staffing issues, and so as a result, they weren't able to make good on their promise on their backlog for the U.S. Navy, and they went on a sell-off. And for me, I talked about how that was a buying opportunity, and I am currently waiting for them to reach my buy price. So on Thursday, I'm hoping they report more negativity so that I can finally buy into this company. Because when it comes to the defense space, I feel like the highest quality one would be Lockheed Martin, no doubt in my mind. And that one is also on a sell-off and almost near my buy price target. But I think in second place, tied, would be Raytheon and Huntington Ingalls. They have such an economic moat and a customer that is the United States government. Like if they're going to pay you for what the contract says, they're going to pay you. So their financials are going to be so predictable that it makes you feel comfortable as an investor. So to know that they're going through some temporary issues, for me, I feel like that's a buy. As a matter of fact, let me pull up their last earnings report and we can take a look at it. So their backlog right now is $49.4 billion. Approximately $28 billion were funded by the United States government. They received a $9.6 billion contract for the amphibious warships. That's probably for the Navy SEALs. Lowlights, but let's see what. Whoo, look at that, right? Did they miss? Yeah, they missed on their EPS, which means their books, their balance sheet, and their accounting was all wonky, I'm assuming. Their revenue declined, and they missed on the revenue and on the EPS, and that makes sense why they went on a sell-off. Yeah, impacted by delays and cost overruns due to supply chain issues and inexperienced labor. So for me, I'm thinking like there was a mass resignation that happened in 2022, maybe 2023. So as a result, a lot of companies that require hard labor, they suffered, right? And I feel like, is that always going to be the case? No, absolutely not. I think Huntington Ingalls is experiencing the most temporary of setbacks. And for me, I would love to buy into them. This is my opportunity. And when we talk about Friday, there's nothing that really excites me or that should be on your radar, to be honest with you. So no call outs on that end. Anyways, let me know how you feel about this video. I want to start doing this series again. I used to do it last year, but it didn't really gain any traction, so I was like, I'm not going to do it anymore. However, I decided to do something different this time, right? I used no script, no editing, and if I just free ball it like that, walking around the house with no boxers on, I feel like it is a series that I want to do because it's not too much. Because here's the thing. When I usually make a video, depending on the length of it, the final product, like the BDC ranking video, it literally took me about 40 to 50 hours of work, right? When you think about the research, the script writing, the editing, the filming, the everything involved with it, the analytics, the making the thumbnail, a lot of time. But if I can make a video like this, like sharing with you guys, like what's on my radar, what you should be looking for this week, and I spitball and I freestyle. I did my research up front, but the fact that I don't have to edit, that's my biggest pain point, which is editing. That requires if you're familiar with Pareto's principle, 80-20, the 20% of the process that takes up 80% of your effort and time, for me, that's editing. So if I don't have to edit, that's spectacular, right? So it's something that I want to introduce, but let me just see what happens. If you guys are not interested and there's no comments and no views, then I'll take it as a sign that I should move on to my other ideas and projects that I have cooking right now. Anyways, I love you guys. Make sure that you watch the BDC ranking video. I think it's a banger. I personally think that it's my best video that I ever made. And stay safe, and I'll talk to you guys really soon. Peace.